I've been meaning to make more YouTube videos, and Killbot and Gorgor Attack gave me the idea to try a Q&A style video. You guys asked me some questions, so I'm gonna try and answer them. I've got a few. What forms of music do you enjoy other than goth, metal, rock, and punk? Favorite part of Halloween? Favorite death metal albums? And do you ever plan to release any music, be it covers or original music? Music other than goth, metal, rock, and punk is kind of a hard one for me, because that is almost everything that I listen to. I do branch out a little bit beyond that though. Like, I do also enjoy some pop. Usually it's more like 80s pop. I have a hard time with a lot of like modern pop. But even then, sometimes there are exceptions. I do like a lot of like 80s and 90s rap and hip hop, especially stuff more along the lines of like Wu-Tang, Biggie, Run DMC, Public Enemy, things like that. I enjoy those. I like a little bit of classical music, usually along the lines of Tchaikovsky. But yeah, I don't know. For the most part, I'm pretty solidly within like rock-based music genres. This one's like kind of a silly answer, but I think my favorite thing about Halloween might just be being able to get like decor at that time of year. Like, I find so many cool candlestick holders, especially at places like Michael's or Joann's, or like, I don't know, I have a couple of these just like bats that hang. I love just putting them on places around the house. It's also just like such a fun holiday. Like, kids just get to dress up in costumes, not just kids, anyone, but like, you know, and then they go around and they collect candy from people. I don't know, it's just fun, you know. There's not any weird undertones or anything like that. There's not any like family expectations. It's something that I think it's a holiday that can be more widely enjoyed, I guess. For favorite death metal albums, of course, I've got to have Death on the list. So I've got Symbolic here, and then I also have Spiritual Healing. Also, Individual Thought Patterns. Children of Bodom is another really big one for me, especially Follow the Reaper and Are You Dead Yet? Immortal Bird, Empress Abscess. Insomnium. Winter's Gate isn't like my favorite by them, but it's the only one I physically own. In the Halls of Waiting is definitely my favorite. I think that one counts as an album. It might be an EP, I don't remember. I can't pronounce like anything for this band. I think it's pronounced Eluvaitai? I don't remember. People have tried to correct me on this for years and I never remember. I don't know how to pronounce the album name either. I think it's Slania or Slania, I don't know. But I love this album a lot. It's kind of like a melodic folk metal, I think, technically. Resurrection Through Carnage by Bloodbath. Brutal Queen by Sisters of Suffocation. Surgical Steel by Carcass. I really like Abnormality. This is Contaminating the Hive Mind and Mechanisms of Omniscience. Edge Sanity is another huge one for me, especially Crimson. I also really like Purgatory Afterglow. Decadence from Sweden. This is their album, Third Stage of Decay. I don't know if this one will count for you guys or not as death metal. They're kind of like a melodic death metal thrash crossover, but I really like them. I would count them. I think they could fit in a playlist. Cerebral Bores, Maniacal Miscretion. I really enjoy early Morbid Angel, like Altars of Madness and Covenant. Arch Enemies, Wages of Sin. And I like multiple Monomarth albums, but the only one that I own physically is Deceiver of the Gods. I'd love to make music eventually, but I'm also very shy, so if I ever do, I don't know, there's a pretty high likelihood that I'll just release it like anonymously, like just throw it on Bandcamp with no pictures or credits to my name at least. Use like, what do you call it when like a ghostwriter name or something. I feel like I would just do that. How do you personally deal with bullies in real life? As far as bullies in real life, I don't really get that many of them. Most of it just comes from online for me, but generally it'll be something about how I look, and I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't let that affect me very much. It used to affect me a lot more when I was younger. I would have people like comment on what I was wearing or how I changed my hair or how I did my makeup or whether I shaved my legs or not, like anything at all. And it kind of got to the point where I realized eventually that people are going to comment or make like snide remarks or anything about anything that I do to my appearance. So it, to me at least, became less hurtful if it was something that I knew I liked. If people were making fun of me or bullying me for something that I didn't even like about myself, I think it had more merit over me than if I like it, then it kind of doesn't matter as much to me, you know? Like Like, they could say just about anything about my appearance, and it really doesn't matter to me, because it's like, at the end of the day, I like it and it makes me happy. This is how I want to look. But the other primary thing that I really noticed is, even living in like a very religious and conservative area, most people have more nice things to say to me than bad. More people are likely to just glare at me from the distance, or if they are going to come up and say something to me, it's usually a compliment. What are your professional goals and what do you aspire to be? As many people know, I do work in IT. I wouldn't say that I have like a lot of professional goals. Mostly I just want to be able to make enough money to support my passions and interests. But one thing I might try and do is try to get more certifications, like the Network Plus, work towards a CCNA, stuff like that. How does it feel to be so cool? Half joking, but my actual question is, what's your favorite part about being goth or in the scene? How does being goth make you feel? Sometimes this is kind of a hard one for me, because there's often so much like drama and pettiness that goes on in the goth scene, but a lot of that, I think, because I just have like so much social presence online, tends to be more online for me. When I go into places in person, it's much easier to just surround myself with like my friends or the people that I enjoy being around. Overall, I would say that I find it to be like a really good sense of community. I've made so many friends just through like the goth scene alone. Never when I was younger would I have thought that I would find so many other people that enjoy doing some of the other like really wacky things that I like to do. Like finding people that want to go to the cemetery and just like listen to some chill music and go walking, or like look up some of the people and like their story when you see the, like a cool headstone, or people that just want to get together and watch like silly movies like silent films or anything like that, and just do basically like arts and crafts on your jackets while you're watching it. I have such a good time with that. Or when you're going out to like a show or a club and you're just like dancing to all of your favorite music with your friends, there's really hardly anything that can beat that for me. What's your favorite recently made movie? Probably Lisa Frankenstein. It just hit so many marks for me, you know? It had the goth aspect, the creature feature, 80s, awesome soundtrack. I just really enjoyed it. I have 2 questions. What are your favorite music videos, and what is the most gothic movie in your opinion? Favorite music videos is a hard one because there are so many music videos that I like. I spend a lot of time watching music videos, but off the top of my head, probably Vision Videos Inked in Red. I really love what they did with that. It has, you know, it's goth, but it also has a lot of like classic cheesy 80s horror, demon zombie kind of aspects to it. I can feel your knife in my side. I love that. There's a hearse in it, bonus points for that. I don't know, they usually do really good with their music videos. I also really like Accepts Balls to the Wall music video. I just love cheesy 80s metal music videos. Like Warlock's All We Are. The part where she like jumps down, lands on a car, and then starts headbanging and these people's heads explode from speakers going real loud. I love stuff like that. Sammy Hagar's I Can't Drive 55, that's like everything that I think a music video should be. I mean, it depends on the kind of music, but in general, it fits in with the song. It's super fun and silly. They have fun outfits. It's like, how can you beat the part where he like runs up the wall, catches his guitar, and then just like lands, I think he lands on someone's shoulders and starts like playing a guitar solo. Like, it's so much fun. 55! Judas Priest has a lot of really good ones, like Breaking the Law, where they're like breaking into jail to steal their own record. It's so funny. I love cheesy music videos like that. Most gothic movie is really hard. I feel like a lot of vampire movies would fit the bill. You could have things like The Hunger or Bram Stoker's Dracula, where they, you know, it has to do with vampires, so that's already pretty gothic, but then you also have just like the music, not necessarily in like the goth genre sense, but like it's very gothic, you know? And then the costume design, the story, just all of that I think can be just very gothic. So I don't know, just many classic horror, especially vampire type movies, I think could come off that way. Or if we want to go more like straight up goth, like the subculture, I feel like I would have to say Gypsy 83. If you haven't seen it, I think it's got one of the best goth characters ever shown in a movie. I mean, just look at this guy. What goth rock, post-punk, darkwave bands would you recommend listening to during the summer? I think for me, picking out specific bands is kind of difficult, but I do have a Hot Goth Summer playlist, so it's just like a lot of songs in like the gothic spectrum that I think can kind of fit either summer vibes or they're summer themed directly. So I would just say like that playlist. Not sure if I blinked and missed a video of you talking about it, but how do you contour using black powder makeup? Every time I try, I mess it up. I do have like a get ready with me video, or I just kind of show how I do like my blush or contour, whatever you want to call it, in just kind of my other makeup videos. But I do it a pretty simple way, but I also feel like it's a way that you can kind of very easily mess it up. So there's the caveat. Basically what I do is I'll get like just black eyeshadow, and then I'll get like my brush. I don't have eyeshadow right now, but that's fine. I already did my makeup. And then I'll just like kind of put some on it. I don't want to do it too heavy usually. And then I just usually go from, everyone's facial structure is different. I usually try to go like right here, just like right where my ear is or above my ear. And then I just kind of slowly start going outward a little bit with it. And then you kind of figure out what works best with your face, if you should do it a little more straight out, a little bit lower, a little bit higher. It's just, some of it comes with practice and figuring out what works best with your face. But that's pretty much it. I just get some black shadow and then I go like this. Sometimes if you want it to be a little less extreme, you could try getting like a gray or something that's like a little bit more neutral but on the dark side and put that down and just do that. Or you could do that and then layer a little bit of black on top of it. 2 questions for you. If you could time travel to any year, past or future, what would it be and why? Probably 1986 to like buy some cool shirts and go to concerts. I think I'm pretty simple. I think that's all I'd want. Or if I'm really smart, figure out how to buy a house when they were cheaper. Maybe that. What do you recommend wearing for a more casual, low effort goth look? Kind of what I'm wearing now, honestly. It's like, I think the only reason it looks less casual is because of the hair and the makeup. But other than that, like, really, here, let me move. Just like a t-shirt and jeans does a lot already. It could be a band shirt or not. Like, this is just a Lost Boys shirt, you know? Black jeans is usually my go-to. I like to tuck my shirt in and wear a belt. You could wear an even cooler belt than this. Or not tuck it in at all. Adding necklaces for some flair or just any kind of accessories can make it a little less casual, but still fairly casual. And then I often will wear like a battle jacket that's either like a denim vest or a leather jacket like this. You could also do just like a plain black dress of any kind and style it either just as that or do like a waist belt of some kind. It could be plain, it could be really accessorized, it doesn't really matter. Or again, like layering necklaces makes a difference. What is your favorite decor piece that you have right now? Stores are starting to put out their gothic / Halloween pieces and I'm so excited. I just got a piece actually off of Facebook Marketplace that I painted and put on my wall and I'm super excited about it. Here, I'll show you. It's kind of hard to get this whole thing in the video, but this candle wall sconce, I absolutely love it. Or my coffin that I built. I really love my coffin. Thoughts on the new generation of goths? Personally, I love to see it. I just like finding other people that have things in common with me or seeing other people enjoy some of the same things that I enjoy. And sometimes there's a little bit of differing in that, you know? But overall, I'm just like happy to see it happening. Sometimes I think that like people that are a little bit newer to goth or are younger care more about some of the things that don't matter as much. like sometimes they care too much about like what genre is what, but I don't know, you find people in like every age or people that have been into goth for a long time that are like that also. Or sometimes they'll care too much about like having to be goth enough, or what makes me like not a baby bat anymore. Like I don't want to be a baby bat anymore. I want to be a full-blown goth, and like I don't know, I think some of that stuff doesn't matter. Like just do what you enjoy. Or like another one of the big ones is just like a lot of just like getting into it and having some of the misconceptions, or being younger and not understanding it yet, where you think you have to dress like a certain way to be goth, or you have to buy from specific places to be goth, or like, you know, just stuff like that. When did you start to listen to goth music and or dress alternatively? I guess you could say I started dressing alternatively when I was in maybe like, I think 4th grade. I started wearing like all black all the time, or at least I tried my best to. I didn't have any control over like what clothes were bought for me for the most part. Like it was pretty much, we're gonna go to Ross or TJ Maxx or like the thrift store, and maybe you can pick a few things out, that's it. But I didn't have a lot of choice over that when I was younger. So for a while I was just wearing like black jeans or regular jeans and like a plain black t-shirt, because I didn't have any band shirts or anything like that yet. Or I only had hoodies, so it was usually like a striped hoodie or a just solid black or solid gray hoodie. That was kind of like what I wore a lot, but it was definitely different from like what a lot of other people I knew were wearing. It wasn't like Aeropostale was huge, and like Hollister and things like that. Like a lot of the mall name brands and stuff like that were big when I was that age. Or I don't know, that was even more like middle school and high school than like 4th grade. But I started wearing like shirts that, like anything I could find that had like guitars on it or looked kind of rock in any way. Some of them were really dorky, but it was all I could find at places like Ross or TJ Maxx. But I usually would just try and wear like black if I could. Very slowly it started like expanding beyond that, where I would start wearing like some eyeliner, or I would finally get some band shirts, or I was really into cargo pants for a long time. I would wear like oversized band shirts and like old army surplus like camo pants, or any kind of cargo pants. I loved the ones that you could like zip the knee off and they could become shorts. I never even wore them as shorts. I just loved that you could do that. But I was way more into like metal when I was younger, just like metal and rock and punk. Usually it was like those 3 that I was really into. And then I got into goth way later, and that's when I started like really caring more about accessories and makeup and hair. Because before it was mostly just like band shirts, maybe some battle jackets and leather. That was kind of the extent I went, because it was much more like punk and metal for me at the time. How would you introduce a new friend to goth culture? Usually what I end up doing, because I try and indoctrinate most of my friends into some of the same interests as me, because I explode if I don't share some of the things that I enjoy. So usually what I'll do is I'll just like have people over and we'll just share a whole bunch of music videos. Sometimes it's me kind of like taking control too much, and I'll just be like, oh, and then this one, and then this one, these ones are really good. Oh my gosh, you need to listen to this one too. And I'll just like go through and show a whole bunch of music videos or songs and interviews, things like that I think are really neat that they might enjoy. And if they do end up liking stuff like that, then I'll usually try and take them to like a concert or something with me, and that's usually how it goes. When did you get into the goth culture / music? By the way, I'm a huge fan and I love the content. Please keep it up. Thank you. So when I was in like, I think around 4th grade-ish, I started getting into bands that weren't like goth, but they're kind of on the way into getting into goth. So it was bands like Him or Evanescence and some kind of like Visual Kei stuff. I was getting into a little bit of that. But from there, I mostly got into metal and punk and stuff like that. I didn't go straight into goth quite at that point. When I started to get really into goth, I was more like just ending high school and starting college. It was like very solidly like around college for me, I would say. Like I had heard some of the goth bands that I really like now. I had heard them before, but I hadn't gotten super into them yet. I think I was just like too angsty, and I really wanted music that was heavier, like metal and punk. And then I think I had like matured a little bit and calmed down a little bit, and then I was able to gain more of an appreciation for more genres outside of that. And goth was like a really big one. Especially, I love like classic horror, like I've said, and so when I found songs that incorporated a lot more elements like that weren't quite in like the metal sense, I really enjoyed them. How do you dress freely in public without getting insecure or feeling uncomfortable? I'm a baby bat, but I'm nervous about people's opinions, so I refrain from dressing up in public. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier about like when someone asked about bullying, but it really is worth it to just do it. Because people, at least in my experience, maybe it's different in yours, but people will say things or look at you a certain way no matter how you dress. Like, I could be wearing just like a plain t-shirt and jeans and a hoodie, not have any makeup on, have like completely flat hair, didn't style it in any way, and people will still like say things or look at you a certain way. Maybe not as much, but I don't know, at least that was my experience. So it's hard to talk about it in any other way for me. But I think that it's just worth it to do it if it's something that can make you happy. It's good to ease into it. That helps a lot. So like maybe just start wearing some band shirts and jeans, add maybe a little bit of accessories, maybe do your eyeliner just a little bit heavier one day, or, just like ease into it quite a bit. I think that's the best way to go about it, because then you can slowly get used to it, or like slowly get used to like getting more looks or more comments from people, whether it's good or bad. Because for me, like any perception is kind of strange for me, whether it's good or bad. Like if someone is telling me that I look silly, or if someone says I look absolutely gorgeous, I almost handle that the same way, because I don't know, I'm not very good at like talking to people or anything like that. But I think the best thing you can do is just very slowly go for it. And you get used to it. But I think that dressing how you want, especially if it is a bold style, just helps build your confidence in general. Or another thing that I do that maybe you could try also is most of the time when I try and go somewhere and I'm in public, like especially if I'm grocery shopping, I'll usually just try and have headphones in and listen to music, and I don't keep eye contact with people. Like if I'm going down an aisle, I will just like look straight ahead, or I will look at the food in the aisle. I don't look at any of the people. And then even if they are looking at me or saying anything, I'm oblivious to it, for better or worse. Sometimes that's not good. So sometimes I'll even leave a headphone out and I just try to filter it out, but I can still hear anything that's maybe important to my environment. But I think just like kind of deafening your senses to it so that it doesn't matter or you don't even know what's happening can also be a tactic you could use. What bands do you like to listen to, that is, besides goth or metal? Also, what is your favorite video game? So I like a lot of like 80s pop and new wave. So like these are a few examples. We've got A Flock of Seagulls, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, and like early Gary Newman. He went a little more industrial later on. I also really enjoy good movie soundtracks. Or Bruce Springsteen, I really enjoy him. Psychobilly is another pretty big one for me. I really love bands like the Horror Pops. They're like the band that got me into psychobilly. And more psychobilly bands like the Quakes, Necromantics, of course, the Reckless Ones, and Tiger Army. I also really like 60s and 70s rock, like I said earlier. I love Jefferson Airplane. And also, of course, Janis Joplin. CCR was pretty fundamental to me. Fleetwood Mac, The Doors, The Moody Blues, and Iron Butterfly. Alright, we've got another three-parter. When did you have your coming out as a goth moment? What are your thoughts on the new Crow/Nosferatu movies? And how does it feel to know you are a hero to not only me, but to many other retro goths? I don't know that I ever had a coming out as a goth moment. I was in denial for a while. Like, I would be listening to like Sisters of Mercy and Bauhaus, and covered in fishnets and wearing black lipstick with teased hair, and my friends would be like, wow, that's very goth, and I'd be like, I'm not. No. I don't know why I felt that way. I think I don't know, I was just in denial for a while. It was kind of funny. I had my Andrew Eldritch phase. Personally, I don't think the new Crow movie is going to be very good. I don't think I'll even probably consider it to be a Crow movie, but it is what it is. The Nosferatu movie, I think that one looks like it's promising. They didn't show like a ton in the trailer, but I kind of like that because I don't want to know everything that's going to happen in the movie. Like, I want to be able to go into the movie and be surprised, hopefully pleasantly, by some of the things that I see. And I don't know, I think it's weird to think that some people think of me as a hero. I don't know, that's kind of intimidating, honestly. Like, I'm just a person that's sharing my interests with other people, but I don't know, it's very cool and flattering, but also it's very scary. Do you believe that the goth subculture is still relevant today as it was 25 years ago in the US, or is it only relevant in other specific places like Europe or Asia? And do you feel that goth is in a decline in the US or holding steady? Personally, I really can't speak on other countries. I definitely see other goths like doing things in other countries, but I'm not actually there, so I don't think you can get like a good idea of that just through the internet. But within the US, I think it's pretty strong, honestly. I can't really compare it to 25 years ago because I wasn't in the scene then, but just there's so many new goth bands that are very active and like they are doing well touring all over the place and even on other continents. I think it's doing pretty well. I'm a metalhead mainly, but I love the aesthetic of goth and have tried to appear more goth listening to the music. Any advice? I mean, really, I would say if you're worried about like appearance in any way, just dress however you want to. Like, if you're feeling inspired to dress more goth, you should do it. You know, you should do whatever makes you feel most comfortable. Not because you feel like you need to or anything like that. And then as far as like the music goes, I do have, if you haven't checked them out already on my Spotify, there's a metal for goth and goth for metal playlist that have like songs that I think will appeal to people on both sides a little bit more. So those, you might find some bands or songs that you really like through there. Or I also just have like beginner goth playlists or just like ones for specific subgenres, things like that. What got you interested in goth, metal, punk, and other 80s related stuff? Also older media types. I'm from that era and all of that is nostalgic for me. But that was before your time. I mean, I think it's awesome, but I'm just curious what got you into all that. Did your parents influence you with their love for that stuff? For me, it was just kind of like my own personal journey, or I did have like kind of a weird childhood. I spent a lot of time with my grandma and my great-grandma. Also, my mom was just a little bit old school, or like, I don't know, we didn't grow up wealthy, so like we just always had a lot of old stuff around the house. It was pretty normal. Like, we still used like landlines that you would put on the wall and hang up, or ones that had like actual bells in them. Those hurt your ears. We used those up until I was like still in high school. And my dad, he's old, like he's getting close to 80 right now. So I also just grew up with him, and he not only was old, but still like held on to that and lived very old school. So I think a lot of it is just how I was raised. It's not that they loved it or that I loved it. It's just that was what was familiar to me. That's what we had around. Some of this stuff I just never got rid of. So a lot of it is just like what I grew up with. So some of it is nostalgic to me, like VHS, obviously, I grew up with VHS, like, we didn't get DVDs for a while, and even when we did, we still had VCRs all over the place, and CRT TVs, so to me, that was just like all regular. Same with cassette tapes. Like, we moved on to CDs, when I was growing up. Like, my mom had one of those, CD arches that were huge and like a 500 disc changer. So like CDs I grew up with, cassette tapes I grew up with, VHS tapes I grew up with. And I think I really like media, and that's what spawned a lot of my interest in other like retro tech. So like Laserdisc and CED video disc, Betamax, even though I didn't grow up with those, I think I just really like the idea of being able to own a movie or music, because also, you know, like 8 tracks, I didn't grow up with 8 tracks, but I just like that I can own some of the things that I really enjoy, especially whereas I am into a lot of older music and film on different formats. I think that it's just very fun. It's kind of like how some people really are like, they're audiophiles and they really want, you know, they want like the highest quality of their favorite kinds of things to watch and enjoy. I'm kind of like that, but I just want it on different formats because I find that to be enjoyable. So I think that's kind of it for me. And then no one really influenced me to like metal or goth or, you know, like 80s movies or fashion. I think it just came naturally to me. Like my mom, my dad, my grandparents, I'm the oldest sibling, so I didn't get it from any siblings. I just discovered it slowly and I was like, oh, I like that. Or like we got Guitar Hero at one point, or I played it at like a family friend's house, and I was like, oh, I don't really like this music that much, but then it slowly grew on me and I was like, okay, this is great. And it just kept growing on me over time, and then I got into heavier music, different subgenres, and things like that. And then 80s, I just love how the 80s style is. I have really flat hair naturally, and like as someone who wanted my hair to look a certain way and I could never get it that way, being able to tease it and get it to be huge, even though it's not normally even remotely like that, is just very satisfying to me. So I think even if I wasn't into a lot of 80s media, I would still be into 80s fashion, but who knows? If you could form a goth rock supergroup, who would be in the band? What would be the ultimate horror movie face-off that hasn't already been made? Ooh, I don't know. Those are all tough ones. I feel like it would be the Bags, wouldn't it? I don't know. If you're not familiar with the Bags, you should look into them. They had so many really cool artists that you probably already know some of their names. They're very cool. Horror movie face-off. I want to say like Dracula versus somebody, but we've had so much of that already, so I don't know that I could say that. I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe, okay, you know what I would do? I would pit the demons from Dario Argento's Demons against the Living Dead from Return of the Living Dead. That's what I would do. Would you like to see more goths in cartoons, shows, movies, and etc.? And what's a great example of goth representation in the media in your opinion? I don't know, I think it's fun seeing characters that I relate to in TV shows and movies, but at the same time, it's very frustrating when I see it done poorly, or the person who designed that character very obviously didn't do much research into it. Like, I think that, what's her name? Jenna Ortega, is that her name? Who played Wednesday in the recent Wednesday show? I appreciated a lot of the work that she did with, like, the dance with the Cramps playing and her style of dancing. You know, it was definitely unique to her, but at the same time, she did research and she was looking at, like, videos of Susie Sue and how other goths danced in clubs in the 80s, and I think you can really see that through her portrayal. And even though she's not necessarily specifically a goth character, things like that I really appreciate and love to see. But in other times, like there's this movie Dead Above Ground, they have like gothic characters in that, and they just made them so unlikable and so obnoxiously edgy. Like, you could tell that whoever wrote these characters has never researched or understood the subculture in any way, and it's just like disappointing to see. So I think I would love to see more, just as long as they do it well, you know? And then as far as like good goth representations in media, I think that one that I mentioned earlier, Clive from Gypsy 83, that's still like one of the best portrayals I've seen. Top-notch music, DIY, had the goth look down. He was just perfect. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. This character from Downtown, I think her name was like Serena or something like that. I don't remember, but I thought she was pretty good. And honestly, I don't watch South Park, but I have seen a lot of the clips. I think the South Park goth kids are pretty good. Obviously done in like a comedy manner, but like I think that they did a pretty good job. I love your channel. I've been wondering what are some of your favorite male goth channels. I personally feel quite alone in this regard. I am so sorry because I don't actually watch a lot of YouTube other than like music videos or interviews and things like that. I don't watch a lot of other YouTubers, so I don't know of very many. I could name like some Instagram accounts, but I really don't know of a lot. So I'm sure there are some out there, but I don't know. I guess if anyone else knows of any, go ahead and put them in the comments and help this guy out because I'm not helpful. Rock and roll! What will your funeral song be when the day comes? That's such a hard question. Probably either like Buried Alive by Venom, but that might be too dark, or My Funeral, My Party by Horror Vacui, or Horror Vacui, however they're pronounced. When did you start listening to goth music and metal music? I started listening to metal first. I think I started getting most into metal when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. Like I've been listening to some 70s rock like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, but then I started getting more into like heavier music. So then I started listening to things like Black Sabbath and Dio. Metallica was a pretty big one for me, as it is for many people. I got really into 80s thrash. So like the big four, the American big four were really big for me. And then I got really into like Death Angel and Exodus. So I kind of started that a little bit early on. And then way later I got into goth. Like I said, that was a little bit more when I was in college. That's when I started getting into like Bauhaus, Killing Joke, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division, all that. Like I had listened to it before, but it hadn't clicked with me yet. So that's when that started to become big for me. What are some of your favorite movies? So obviously I'm a huge vampire movie fan. So some of my favorite like vampire movies are the 1931 Dracula with Bela Lugosi, the 1985 Fright Night, My Best Friend is a Vampire, Dracula's Daughter is really good, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, that's a newer one that's really good. I recently watched Abigail. I enjoyed that one a lot. I don't know if I'd say it's a favorite. I did really enjoy it though. Let Me In and Let the Right One In, because there's two different versions. Both of those I really enjoyed. My Best Friend is a Vampire. Of course, The Lost Boys. I like The Hunger a lot. Only Lovers Left Alive. And then I also really enjoy just like a lot of fun 80s movies. Like I love Karate Kid, huge Karate Kid fan. I think 2 and 3 are also good. Some of the John Hughes movies, I really like The Breakfast Club and Some Kind of Wonderful. I really loved Times Square. Summer of '84 is a newer one that I really liked. That one was good. Lisa Frankenstein. Deathgasm is really fun. Same with Malmhaus, also known as like, it's Metalhead in English. But if you just search Metalhead, sometimes it doesn't come up very well because it's such a generic name. But that movie's really good. The 1986 Trick or Treat, Airheads, Heathers is really good. I love Heathers. I like SLC Punk. A lot of like cheesy 80s horror too. Like The Video Dead is fun. I love Chopping Mall. The soundtrack for that is also super fun. Obviously Return of the Living Dead, Demons. Demons 2 is really good. Oh, Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know, I just need to make a whole video on that one, honestly. Favorite books / authors. So here are some of the books from my bookcase. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I think this is just a book that everyone should like. I really enjoyed Good Omens. Terry Pratchett makes me want to get into the Discworld series. The Graveyard Book is one that I started reading in middle school and I fell in love with it. Of course, gotta have Anne Rice in here. Interview is my favorite. I still haven't finished Queen of the Damned. I got halfway through it. I read The Vampire Lestat, so still working on these ones, but really enjoy it. Obviously, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Lord of the Rings, Fangs by Sarah Anderson. It's just kind of a really cute vampire werewolf slice of life comic. These are very cheesy and middle school, but I really like the Vampire Kisses series. And I really like Rob Halford's books. This one is his autobiography, Confess. This is my favorite out of the two. What are the best modern goth bands, best 1990s goth bands, how to tell the difference between types of goth and metal styles, genres of music, How to find the best paler foundation for your skin tone, not ghost white foundation. I look like a dummy in the pure white foundation. The pure white foundation can be hard to pull off. I actually have some playlists for modern goth music, so I've got my modern goth bands playlist, and then I do some by year, so like I have a goth 2023 playlist and a goth 2024 playlist, and those are just like releases that came out that year. Some of my favorite modern goth bands are like Male Tears, Rose Garden Funeral Party, Vision Video, Vandal Moon, Blood Bells, Necromancer's Union, Rosetta Stone. They're a 90s band. They're one of my favorite 90s bands, but they're also putting out some new music, like their Cryptology album that I really like. Deceits is really good, Susie Sabotage, Corlix. Some of my favorite 90s goth bands are like Paralyzed Age, The Witching Hour is really good, Screams Fartina, The Wake, Suspiria, let's see, I mentioned Rosetta Stone, The Shroud, Crew Shadows, London After Midnight. Those are some really good 90s bands. I also have a 90s goth band playlist. How to tell between the different subgenres is a little bit tricky sometimes, because sometimes they can be multiple different subgenres, or like a fusion of them. I think it usually gets easier as you listen to the music because you can start to pick out different characteristics. Like death rock, you could start listening to that, and that compared to like dark wave, you could recognize, death rock has much more punk influence. It's maybe more guitar driven, maybe more like, I don't know how to describe it, like, I don't know, maybe just, it's gonna have like more punk influence to it. It might be a little bit more theatrical, whereas like dark wave, it's gonna probably be a little bit more dancey. It might be a little bit more electronic, probably a lot more synth. The vocals might be a little bit more like droney or pop influenced. But you basically just start to pick up on some of these different characteristics the more you listen to the music. For pale foundation that's not just white, this one, it's really close to being white, but it does have like some pink undertones in it. It's just really, really pale. This is from VE Cosmetics. It's just like their witchcraft foundation. I really like it. It's got great ingredients. It's got like SPF in it. The only thing that sucks is if you are in the US, the shipping can be kind of pricey because this is a UK based company, but I really enjoy them. I think it's worth it, and they're pretty affordable other than shipping. Or you could just go to like Ulta or Sephora, whatever makeup store you would normally go to, and it is hard to like match to get like a good undertone if you're like, a little bit more pink, or you're a little bit more like olive or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but like I just went to Ulta and like, I don't know, it's kind of expensive. I don't know if this one's worth it because this is like a new one that they got, I guess, but this is like the Urban Decay foundation. I just got like their palest shade, and it works out pretty well for me. It's very like cool toned, and since I do like the black and gray contour, it works really well with that. Whereas something that might be a little bit more warm. But sometimes it's just experimenting, or if you go to some of these places, you could let them know the kind of look that you're going for, and they could help try and like color match you and everything like that, but do it for something that might complement your skin tone a little bit better. Usually they can go and like test things out on you, and you could see what you like most. So I would recommend that. What is your dream place to visit? I visited a lot of the places that I want to visit in the US, but there's honestly not like a lot of traveling I want to do here. I really love visiting a lot of different places in like the California and LA especially area, just for like a lot of the like music history that they have there, or a lot of the like Hollywood history. That's really fun. I want to go visit Point Pleasant, West Virginia, because they have the Mothman Museum with the Mothman statue, of course, but then they also have like a festival, and there's like other cryptid things nearby. I think that would be a really fun trip that I would like to try and do. I've wanted to go to Japan for like ever. There are so many cool things there. They have like the Miyazaki Film Park with all that. There's visiting like shrines would be really cool. Just like, I don't know, I think Japan would be super fun. I really want to go. And then it would be really fun to go to like New Zealand, where they have a lot of the Lord of the Rings stuff and like the Hobbiton there. I think that would be super fun. I hope I get to do that one day. New Zealand also just is really pretty. And then same with Norway, like visiting like and seeing like the fjords and things in Norway. I would love that. There's a lot of cool things, like especially like a lot of cool gothic subculture stuff in Germany. Or just like, I don't know, visiting different like historic buildings and really cool cemeteries all over the UK. Or like Edinburgh, that would be really fun to visit. I don't know. I just really want to travel more. I don't ever have the time off work or money for that. Maybe one day. Once I get like my life more settled down in the next few years, I really hope I can start trying to travel more, because I want to do that so bad. What is your favorite haircut of you from the past? I don't know. I really like just what I'm doing currently. Just like big teased hair in many different forms. Like I can do it all with the same haircut. I just style it up a little bit differently. I really love that. I wish I could do things like the spikes or the like the death hawk and stuff like that a little bit easier, because right now like my hair is not the right length to be able to do the Liberty spikes well, or the chaos spikes, whatever you want to call them. Or like obviously I don't want to dedicate, like I don't want to have to shave my sides to be able to do a really good death hawk, because I like doing things like this or the spikes too much. I like having the freedom to do whatever I want with my hair, whether I have to cut it or not. So I don't know, I think just like my current haircut works out really well for me, because I can for the most part do everything that I want. If you didn't tell us before, what's your favorite nan art if you have one? It might be Evil Dead 1. Like there are so many other like more obscure choices you could go with, but I don't know, Evil Dead is just, it's so much fun. I love Bruce Campbell, and you know they tried on that one and it was just like so bad it was good. What's your favorite food to cook? Lately I've been really into making Thai chili chicken, which is basically just jasmine rice made with olive oil and cut up whites of the green onions and garlic. And then you rice cook all of that, and then you get some chicken that you can either like grill or put on the stove, season that, and then just cut that up, put that on the white rice, and then there's this Thai chili sauce that I can get at the Asian market when I travel, and you mix that with butter and soy sauce, and then pour that over the chicken, and then the greens from the green onions, you cut that up and put that on top. It is so good. If an author sent you their book, would you talk about it and review it? Do you have any horror-themed restaurants or cafes in your area? If so, what are they? I don't know. I have a hard time making it through books sometimes. I've done a lot better, I've realized, with audiobooks, because I think it's just like the ADHD brain. It's hard to sit down with a book. I either start falling asleep or I get distracted, or I can only read it for so long. So sometimes I have a hard time with it. Or if it's not like an engaging part in the book, I have a hard time getting through it, and sometimes I just put it down and it stays down. So I've found that I do a lot better with audiobooks, because I can listen to them while I'm going to work, while I'm riding my bike, on a walk, doing the dishes, making dinner. So I tend to do audiobooks really well. But I don't know, it would depend. I think I'd have a hard time doing book reviews. I wouldn't be opposed to it though, but be forewarned, I am very picky with books. I wish we had horror-themed restaurants in my area. Not really. Where I usually travel for concerts, that's like, it's in Utah. It's like 3 hours away from me. There are some pretty cool ones there. I don't think I know all of them, but there is Mark of the Bistro on 666 State Street. They're like a punk vegan breakfast spot, where they sometimes host punk shows, and they do like burlesque in the evenings, I think. I haven't been there for either of those. I've just been there for like the food before a concert, but they're really fun. Or there's Burgatory, also in Salt Lake City, Utah. They're like a horror movie themed burger joint. They're really fun. But I think that's all I know of that's like actually like even remotely close to me. If you were a chair, what kind of chair would you be? I'd be that plastic chair you see at the dentist offices or preschools or daycares. I like to think I would be a really worn out French provincial chair, or like some kind of fancy Victorian-esque, like Baroque style chair, but it would be like really worn out, because I am just really hard on everything that I own. Nothing stays pristine. So I feel like it would just be one that like would be sitting in the corner of a room and someone just thinks it's really sad looking or needs to be restored. I feel like that would be the chair I would be. Do you play video games? I think I actually forgot one of the ones earlier where they asked about my favorite video games, but they asked multiple questions and I forgot about one of them. But yes, I do. I don't play video games as much as I used to. I'm slowly trying to get back into it. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 lately, but here's some of my favorite games. So of course I've got Doom. I absolutely love this game. My husband introduced me to it when we first started dating, and I just fell in love. Like, it's very metal, it's very spooky, it's very easy and engaging to play. I love it. And then Doom 2, of course. Oblivion might be my favorite game. I don't know. This one, it just invokes nostalgia for me. I absolutely love it. I never get tired of it. Transylvania, I have this game for the Apple IIe. I still have not beat this game. It's kind of hard, but I really enjoy it. It's super fun. What is the most metal band, and why is it Judas Priest? You are correct. It is Judas Priest. Like, that is the answer. I mean, how can you get more metal than Rob Halford, covered in leather and studs? Like, look at this guy. And the duetting solos between KK Downing and Glenn Tipton, that can't be beat. Or I will not accept any other arguments that Painkiller, the entire album, let alone especially the song, is the most metal thing ever made. There can be heavier songs and heavier bands out there, but I don't think it can get more metal than Painkiller. You have to take any extra precautions not to damage the wonderful velour interior of your Trans Am when wearing a studded battle jacket. Honestly, the studs don't really damage it at all because they're all rounded on the edges. So if they're just going against like a soft surface like the velour, it's fine. I am a little bit wary if I want to wear something like a bullet belt or spikes or chains. Those I worry more about, like getting snagged or poking holes or just like rubbing too harshly on any of it. So those I usually avoid wearing, or if I do, I will take them off or put something in between like me and the seat. But yeah, the studs themselves, they're generally fine because they're just rounded on the ends. Anyway, that's all the questions that I had so far. Maybe I'll do another one of these in the future, and hopefully I'll get more YouTube videos on the way soon.